Update. My fiancé said I'm holding my womb hostage. Original post. We've been together for 9 years, engaged for just under 1. I'm 29, he's 33. The other day, we were having a conversation about the future and then the subject turned to kids. How many, etc. I said I'd ideally want 2, and I didn't care what gender. He said he wanted 2 also, but doesn't want a daughter at all. When I pressed, he said it was because he wouldn't be able to relate to her and he didn't want to have to deal with all that. By all that, he meant periods and her dating/intimate life. I told him we would have no control over the gender for our kids. He said he knew, but if we had a daughter, he wouldn't be able to love her as much as a son. What? I wasn't having that. And I told him if that's the case, I'm not having kids with him. And he flew off the handle. He literally started yelling, saying I was holding my womb hostage. And once we're married, I wouldn't get the say in whether or not we have kids. That it's his right to have them if he wants. I'm not sure if that's how he meant it, but I think he was implying he'd forcefully impregnate me. It was so hateful. I left, quickly packing while he yelled at me. He followed me out to my car screaming, "That's right, run away," over and over. I've been staying with a friend for 2 days and I haven't told her why I'm not home with him. I don't even know how to begin unpacking the vitriol he spewed. He had never been so blatantly misogynistic. I don't think I even want to marry him anymore, but then I would have wasted 9 years of my life for nothing. He's been blowing up my phone apologizing, begging to talk to me. I can't take it anymore. I don't want to do anything hasty. Please, someone set my head straight. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. You didn't lose 9 years. You're gaining back the rest of your life, free from a raging misogynist. This sounds stupid, but I feel dread at dating and starting over. I'm too old. I was your same age when I tried online dating again and met my now husband. We are now expecting our first child. You are not too old. Of course you feel that way. You grew up with this guy. You were only 20 when you got together. In the past 9 years, a guy has been causing you to attach your worth to him. But he's not right about that. You don't need him to be happy. Just like you know in your heart you don't need to have only boy children to be happy. It sounds like your heart knows this is the last straw. Take it from someone 15 years older than you. Listen to all these other women. Let them teach you, not some controlling man who just told you he would make you his incubator whether you like it or not. You're not here to breed for him and his family, my friend. You have the right to be free. This isn't medieval times. And take it from this divorcee. There's no feeling like being free from a life you didn't realize how much you disliked. And take it from this person who found her partner after 30, after being horrifically betrayed by another. You have time. You have lots of chances. There are way more tastier fish in the sea. Do what your heart wants. He's going to make you feel like you need to come home. You're not married. Think about what the word home means. Hint, it means love, trust, support, and safety. I want you to understand that was the luckiest day of your life. No idea how you missed this for 9 years. You need to think about this once you're clear and settled. But today, let's focus on the extraordinary gift he gave you when he revealed himself so clearly. You need to tell your friend exactly what happened. Your impulse to keep it to yourself tells me that you were not secure in the realization that you were in a romance with a dangerous chauvinistic monster. You're trying to leave yourself the option to go back. Please stop that. Of course, you cannot marry this man. He is a total creep. He threatened you with forced breeding. And he most certainly should never have children. But the only thing you need to make sure of is that he doesn't have them with you. Resolving now that your relationship is over is not hasty. It has taken you 9 years too long. Do not waste another moment of your life even entertaining the possibility of associating with this man. Also, OP, if you leave now, which you definitely should, you will not have wasted 9 years. You will have saved yourself and your theoretical children the entire rest of your lives from being mistreated by this person. Save yourself. Save yourself from a life with a horrible misogynistic a-hole. And write those 9 years off as you not knowing, because that's what they were. He hid this part of him, and you had no way to know it fully. At least it was only 9 years. Not 20, not 50, hell not even 10. And now for the update. Hi everyone. I just thought I'd do an actual update to what happened. So, I took you guys' advice and told my friend I'm staying with. She told me I could stay with her in her guest room until I found my own place. She called her brothers and they actually ended up going yesterday with me to grab my stuff. He tried to hide a bunch of my things, like my medicine and expensive skincare stuff, but they ended up getting it for me. He also tried to say that my game system was his and he'd report me for stealing it, even though it's mine. He also broke some stuff. I don't want to recap what else happened in detail because it was unnecessarily stressful. It took like 5 hours to get my clothes and personal items. The furniture we got secondhand from like Goodwill and Marketplace, so I'm really not worried about that. Before we left with my stuff, I told him it was over. And he seemed okay with it, but after we left, he blew up my phone telling me no one would want me, and calling me used up and all these vile names. I don't care anymore. I screenshotted the messages and blocked him. I called my parents and told them what happened, and they're telling our family the wedding's off so I don't have to do it. We hadn't put any deposits down yet, so no real loss. I guess on the bright side, I'm not so sad about him anymore. I'm flying to visit my family next week. Thanks guys for the help. I am incredibly relieved to hear all of this. Blessings upon your friend for being willing and able to give you a safe place to land and regroup. I hope you absolutely thrive as you move forward. I'm relieved too after seeing the way he behaved. I think eventually he would have killed me. Be really proud of yourself. You did such a brave thing. One day in the future, you look back with such a sense of relief and inner peace that this is over. And you'll have hope and excitement for your future, and it will all be down to current you. I wish you all the best. After things have calmed down a bit, and if it's available to you, talking to a therapist will be really helpful for healing. I wish you the best. Therapy is definitely in the works. Thank you. Just remember, you didn't waste the time with him. You had your good times, and you grew in other ways. And he's 100% wrong when he tries to tell you that no one would want you. Just be grateful that his mask slipped before the wedding. Seriously, do you think anyone would want him if they knew about what he said/did? So basically, he got it backwards. Thank God he showed you this before you were married and pregnant. Also, it's wonderful you have a friend helping you so readily. Please consider cameras when you move and also getting a new phone number. Also get into counseling. It's possible there have been little things you didn't notice but could need to be undone so you don't miss them a second time around. Last story is titled, Update. How do I, 23 female, get over my resentment for my boyfriend, 22 male, and jealousy for my sister's 19 female relationship? Original post. I've been dating my boyfriend Gerald for over a year now, and I'm realizing that we never really did anything during the relationship. Before lockdown, we'd go out to eat and watch anime at his place, but that's it. Now that I look back on it, we never really did anything special and he never did anything nice for me. Like, we went out to the boardwalk for a date I planned, but he wanted to spend it playing arcade games. When I suggested various rides we can go on, he chickened out and said that those kinds of attractions freak him out. Dates with him were just getting takeout and playing video games, or watching him and his friends game. He has been faltering in other parts of his life lately. Lost job but shows no interest in applying for work. Does nothing but sleep or play video games, and he's gained like 50 pounds. Since we've been apart, I've grown to resent him for never taking the initiative. It feels like I never really had a relationship with him, that he's more of just a friend than a boyfriend. Meanwhile, my sister and my best friend are dating incredible guys. They're handsome, driven, and hardworking. They're proactive. They take them out to do fun stuff like hiking or picnics or even do Zoom chats. Instead of video games and TV, they're playing games and even just chatting. My sister is even planning on moving overseas to be with her dude. I want the kind of relationships they're having, but my boyfriend doesn't seem to get the picture no matter how many times I've tried to talk to him. And here I am, stuck with this guy that I just can't feel anything more than resentment. I want him to push himself and show that he actually gives a damn about things. But instead, he just sits on a couch with his eyes locked on the screen and I can't stand it anymore. How do I get over my resentment for my boyfriend? And if possible, how to rein in my jealousy? Sorry if it's a lot to ask. Now for the top advice before reading the update. And here I am, stuck with this guy. You're not stuck with anything. You're making a choice. How do I get over my resentment for my boyfriend? You dump him. He's exactly who you've known. He hasn't changed, and he won't. So dump him and raise your standards. Require and get better of the people in your life. Your jealousy will cease to exist. I wish that is easy, but everyone tells me that he's the best for me. And face it, I have Asperger's and no one wants to date an Aspie. Why are you stuck with him? You're not married. You have no kids together, or I think you would have mentioned that. dump him and find a new boyfriend. I feel like he is going to go into a tailspin and spiral into a worse mental state. This happened before after a good friend of ours died. And if we're going to be honest, I feel like I'm never going to find someone better. Everyone always tells me that. On the other hand, it could be a wake-up call for him to get motivated and get off the couch and off the video game console. You are finding reasons to not break up with him, which is self-sabotaging. If you want to find someone better, make a plan. Start running or biking or something. Find a group where you can meet new people. Don't believe people who say you'll never find anyone better. But you also need to activate your own self to do that. If you allow yourself to believe that, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sweetheart, you'll never find anything better if you don't give anyone else the opportunity. You're young. This isn't the end of the road. Can you really imagine living the rest of your life being this unhappy? He has no motivation in life and you expect this man to marry you, have and raise children with you, be able to support your family. I dated a guy like this in high school, and when I was focusing on graduating, he was avoiding finishing school and growing into a functioning adult like the plague. I fully believe he expected me to carry the relationship, make the money, and raise a family all on my own after we graduated. I made a better decision for myself to leave, even as he told me he would kill himself if I left. And while I couldn't get him to have any motivation in our relationship, he actually started doing much better for himself after I left. It's absolutely okay to be selfish, especially if it makes you happier to do so. If you're genuinely concerned about his well-being after you split, tell some friends. Tell a family member of his. Tell someone that can keep an eye on him and get him help if he should need it. And don't ever believe anyone when they tell you you can't do better. Because you absolutely can. And now for the update. I made a post on r/relationship advice about 2 years ago. I don't think I got any actual helpful advice aside from dump him. But a lot has changed that I thought I would update. For starters, I dumped Gerald. He was upset and tried to convince me to give him a second chance, but I was done. I was sick of wasting all my time watching anime and gaming with him. I don't even like anime. And I was getting really burned out on nerd stuff to begin with. It took my older, more intimidating sister to tell him to never call me again. Last I heard, he was still unemployed and living with his parents. No one else in his life. Pretty sad to be honest. As for me, well, things are starting to look up. Part of my frustration 2 years ago was dating as someone with Asperger's. People think that, when you're an SB, you can't function well in society. They treat you like you were meant to be handled with kid gloves or like a young child. And I was frustrated that with my diagnosis, I was doomed to date losers like Gerald. To be honest, I didn't really find the advice I got helpful. I instead asked my sisters what to do. I always trusted their advice and I still do. I don't talk to my old friends from 2 years ago anymore. I realized they were just not worth keeping around. I was also fed up with my job in IT. I hated computers and the whole geek culture surrounding it, but felt pushed into it because of my Asperger's and how they are great at technology to begin with. It made good money, but what's the point of having that paycheck when you can't enjoy it? I had no real friends, a boyfriend I resented, a job that I was crying every time I thought about it. I was miserable. Thanks to my sister's help and advice, I decided to turn things around. I went back to school and I'm currently studying forensic science. It's something I was always passionate about but discouraged from pursuing for that more lucrative tech degree. I had an internship with my city's police department earlier this year and never have I found work that I found to be stimulating and fulfilling for me. I love hanging out with my friends I made. We share a dark humor that can brighten the grimmest of cases. I can actually talk to them about the things that interest me, like historical cold cases and anatomy and bizarre illnesses. And I am in a happy relationship. It's with someone I met in one of my classes and we complement each other so well. Never have I felt so content to be with someone. We have a date later tonight and are making plans to move in together. All in all, I will say this is a chapter of my life I consider closed. Me from 2 years ago will be happy to know that I am thriving now. It's weird she thinks she didn't get good advice when they said dump him. It was the right option, and what she ended up doing. It was literally the only solution to how do I get a relationship I want with someone who doesn't want the same kind of relationship. Maybe listening to her sisters say what everyone else said was crucial, especially since the sisters could elaborate and be more specific. I'm happy she had real-life support and smart sisters. Yep, and side note, Gerald definitely had some untreated mental health issues. Hopefully gets help. Doesn't sound like it though. I might be seeing patterns that aren't there, but there seem to be just as many men who think the right woman will fix or put up with him, instead of a therapist where they have to put in work, as there are women who think they can fix a man. Well, she seems very judgmental and unpleasant to be around. Glad things worked out for her. For real. It sounds like they just had different personalities, but she basically just chat on him. The only loser quality was he didn't try to find a job. But I'm pretty sure the original post was written around the height of the pandemic, so that could easily explain it.